Namaste, hello, and welcome back to another video on Papyrus and Parchment. My name is Bonnie, and today's video is going to be about by TBR for Jane Austen July 2026. Now, before I get into all that, let me introduce you to our lovely hosts, Marissa from Blatantly Bookish, Katie from Books and Things, and Claudia from Spinster's Library. I'll leave a link to their announcement videos in the description box below, as well as in the overhead cards above as we progress through this video. Now, Jane Austen July traditionally has 7 main challenges, 5 reading challenges and 2 watching challenges. However, I decided to take or give a Gothic spin to my Jane Austen TBR this year. So I'm doing a theme-based Jane Austen July, which I'm calling Jane Austen July 2026, a Gothic expedition. So I will be sharing most of the books that I'll be reading, not all of them, but most of the books. There could be a edition of books, but definitely no subtraction. So I plan to read most of the Gothic inspired Jane Austen collection that I have been collecting over the past few years, and I'll share the books with you in a bit. So do please join me further in this video. Welcome back. Now, before I jump into my TBR, I'd like to mention that when it comes to Jane Austen, I personally start rambling, and usually I go off course. So in order to ensure that I can stick to the books and the synopsis or a brief synopsis of the books that I'd like to mention, I have written everything down and I have it in front of me. So I'll be reading it out from here. So this is just to ensure that I don't get too chatty about the books, as well as I stick to the main brief synopsis which I have written down for every book. So let's begin. The first book that I'll be picking up is called Pride and Prejudice, which is one of the main works of Jane Austen. So as we all know, Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice is a classic romantic comedy about 5 sisters seeking love and financial security. The story features the county of Hertfordshire, the 5 Bennet sisters from Longbourn, the Bingleys from Netherfield, Mr. Collins from the parish of Hunsford Parsonage in Kent, Lady Catherine de Bourgh from Rosings Park, the Darcys from Derbyshire Estate, the military regiment posted at Meryton, including officers like George Wickham, Colonel Forster, Mr. Denny, not Dr. Denny, Mr. Denny, Captain Carter, and Colonel Fitzwilliam Darcy. The key features of the story are the pressures of Regency-era courtship and manners, social divide, class, society, misunderstanding, and the comedy of errors which leads to love and marriage. In this story, we see a minimum of 4 marriages. So, the Gothic retake on this classic novel, I'll be reading this book called Pulse and Prejudice by Colette Saucier. Now, this is not a new book. It has been around for a while and it has also won an award. So, in this thrilling and sensual adaptation of the classic love story, Elizabeth Bennet and the citizens of Hertfordshire know Fitzwilliam Darcy to be a proud, unpleasant sort of man, but they never suspect the dark secret of his true nature. He's not a man at all, but a vampire. When the haughty and wealthy Fitzwilliam Darcy arrives at the rural county of Hertfordshire, he finds he cannot control his attraction to Elizabeth Bennet. A horrifying thought, because as she is too far below his social standing to ignite his heart, he fears she must appeal to the dark impulses he struggles to suppress. The cursed Mr. Darcy endeavours to overcome both his love and his bloodlust for Miss Elizabeth Bennet as he descends into the seedier side of London and introduces Elizabeth to a world of passion and the paranormal she never knew existed. So I'm quite excited about this one. The next book that I'll be reading is Jane Austen's Memoirs, which was published in 1869 and was written by her nephew, James Edward Austen Leigh. And this is a foundational text in Jane Austen studies as well as scholarship, and it is famous for introducing this beloved author and her works. And as she was known amongst her family and friends, especially her sister Cassandra Austen. Now, a Gothic retake on Jane Austen as a fictional fantasy character comes into play in the duology written by Janet Mullany called the Immortal Jane Austen series. So the first part is called Jane and the Damned, in which we have a wickedly fun paranormal historical fantasy where Jane Austen becomes a vampire. The stakes are high and vampires rule when legendary author Jane Austen joins the ranks of the undead. In the story, we have a transformed Jane Austen and her vampire friends against savage hordes of invading French. So that's interesting. This is followed by the next in the series called Jane Austen Blood Persuasion. The delicious adventures of Jane Austen vampire continue. Witty, smart, and sharp as a stake. Tough in the cheek, a bit naughty, and unputdownable. Jane Austen Blood Persuasion has a brilliance of Miss Austen, a brilliance that even Miss Austen would appreciate. The author Janet Mullany follows up her delightful vampiric romp, Jane and the Damned, with Jane Austen Blood Persuasion, pitting the immortal author against a host of murderous creatures and an annoying ex-lover who intends to hound plucky Jane for all eternity as she races to prevent an impending undead civil war. So now, the next book on my TBR is also one of the major works of Jane Austen, and this is a group book called Mansfield Park. And as we know, this follows Fanny Price, who is timid, shy, and sensitive by nature, sent from her impoverished home to live with her wealthy aunt and uncle, the Bertams. Overcoming isolation and mistreatment, Fanny develops a quiet moral strength and ultimately finds happiness by holding true to her values and marrying her cousin Edmund. The book explores themes of social class, morality, and personal values through the life of Fanny Price. And a Gothic spin on Mansfield Park called Mansfield Park and the Mummies, Monster Mayhem, Matrimony, Ancient Curses, True Love, and Other Dire Delights, Jane Austen and Vera Nazarian. So I hope you can see the cover. I absolutely love it, and I'm so sorry my ring light is shining on it, but yes, that's what the cover looks like, and it's a pretty chunky book, so I'll be starting this off early. But spinsterhood or mummification, ancient Egypt infiltrates Regency England in this elegant, hilarious, witty, insane, and unexpectedly romantic monster parody of Jane Austen's classic novel. Our gentle yet indomitable heroine, Fanny Price, must hold steadfast not only against the seductive charms of Henry Crawford, but also an ancient Egyptian pharaoh. Meanwhile, the indubitably handsome and kind hero Edmund attempts exorcism, Miss Crawford vamps out, Aunt Norris channels her inner werewolf. The mummy mesmerized Lady Bertram collects Egyptian artifacts. There can be no doubt that Mansfield Park has become a battleground for the forces of ancient evil and Regency true love. So I'm really looking forward to this one. It sounds quite fun. And the next book that I have is on my TBR is for the prompt or for the challenge to read a book by one of the contemporaries of Jane Austen. So because we have a relaxation in the years for the contemporaries and their novels which were published, I'll be picking up Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, which was also suggested or recommended by one of our hosts, Claudia. And this was technically published a year after Jane Austen passed away, but I'll be reading this anyway because it's Gothic. So this is the story of an ambitious young scientist who, in an obsession to imitate the creator of man, ends up stitching dead bits of oddities together to give life to a horrific monster and then abandoning it out of depression and fear. The story is told through the letters of Captain Robert Walton, who rescues Victor Frankenstein in the Arctic. Victor recounts his obsession with overcoming death and his subsequent regret after bringing the intelligent, deformed creature to life. Shunned by humanity, the creature turns vengeful, ultimately destroying everyone Victor loves. So, for the challenge in which we have to read one of the lesser known novels of Jane Austen, I will be reading Lady Susan, because for the prompt or for the challenge of watching a direct adaptation, I'll be watching Love and Friendship, which is a 2016 film, and this is a retelling of Lady Susan, which I think it is starring Kate Beckinsale, and I have not watched it, honestly, so I'm really eager to watch it. So let's see where we get from there. And for the last challenge, which has been tweaked a bit, I have chosen the series, which is a Chinese retelling of Pride and Prejudice. It's called The Perfect Match, and I'll try to put the posters. It's available on Netflix. It's a long series. I watched it last year. I really enjoyed it, and I'm happy to rewatch it. I think it's a blend of Little Women and Pride and Prejudice, but then it's more Pride and Prejudice than it is Little Women. So I really loved it, and I would recommend, if there is anyone who loves Chinese period pieces blended with Jane Austen and Louisa May Alcott, you definitely can watch this. So these are the few books that I do have on my TBR, and there are a few other books that I do have on my list, on my possibility list, but I won't be including them over here. Let's see how far I get from here with the books that I've just shared with you, and we'll see what we can do about the books which are still waiting. And do let me know what you think about this book and these books, and if you enjoyed it, if you've read any of them, and what your opinions are. I would love to hear from you in the comment section below. And if you really liked and appreciate this video, do please leave a like and a comment in the comment section if you do have the time. So with that, I will be wrapping up this video. I will see you very soon with another video. So till then, take care, have a good reading week ahead, and namaste.